You didn't see that. This is live. This is when we first did it. And welcome back, everyone, to IronFist, presented by Maestro and sponsored by Logitech G. Our next stage of winners. One match is decided, Bukster versus Wenger, but now we have to figure out who's going to be in that next stage, of which Av3k and Bukster is our next match on stream. So welcome back. It should be a lot of fun, I think. Av3k's going into this one as the favourite, as he often tends to be. Bukster, as I said before the break, is a player that had to qualify into IronFist, and he was one of 4 that had to make their way in to this weekend's tournament. Now, we will have the picks and bans momentarily, and as soon as I'm ready to go to the casters, rest assured I will. I'd love to see this next match, and there's plenty more Quake where that came from. We're getting through that first round of winners today, and again, the losers bracket action can be found over on Maestro Live, our official B stream. And remember, this tournament is being casted in different languages, of which you can go to Maestro Gaming's Twitter, and all the links for the different languages can be found there. But I believe now we should be ready to throw over to our casters. So, gents, when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Ketchup. Yes, it is going to be another slobber knocker. Of course, it is going to be between Av3k and Bukster. And good point, Ketchup mate. Go on, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, can we just lay a ground rule, please?
Go on, then.
Can you just not say slobber knocker for the whole event? I know it's hard, but I can't handle it.
I don't know. Did you not like it much? No.
I don't know.
Rubbed up the wrong way.
I disrupted your flow.
Rubbed up the wrong way.
Yeah.
I'll do my best for you. I'll do my best. But how Bukster's going to come, though, because we've got to remember that he came through the qualification process. He did get dropped down to losers by Effortless, and then Effortless was actually lost to Bukster in the end, 2-0 in that final part of the bracket. So actually managed to get a slightly better seeding going into the qualification process. But of course, this is against another player, Av3k. Very, very strong indeed as we go into the picks and bans now to see exactly what maps and champions these two players will be competing against. And it looks like it will be Cup to keep to start off with. Vale next, and then Molten to finish things off. And I must say, those last 2 maps are looking very good here for Av3k.
They are indeed, and it's just such Av3k picks. The Blaskovic into the eyes, and it's just such stereotypical Av3k. Well, we can see Bukster there picking up the Strog. We saw that Wenger earlier, very good on keep, has the utility with the speed, has the Pika for the burst damage, and obviously just has the health vials as well to keep that stack up when the aggression's coming out. But we know that Av3k can set the pace on the Blaskovic and has the dual wield as well, which can punish opponents, particularly with a heavy machine gun. Ison on Pnath is great. Galena is also very strong, but then if we get to that falls, I'm really excited to see the slash. I think she's just better than the visor, but if the players are ready, we just got to get into it, because I'm really excited to see this. This is a player in Bukster that's just been on the cusp of the scene, cusp of the QPL for so long. So actually to see him in this state, in the studio, going up against Av3k, one of the best in the world, this is the benchmark. If he can even put up a fight against Av3k, you know he's there and he's ready. That's the question. Av3k's been playing really well. He played with Rafi yesterday in some offline scrims, and he took maps off him. Av3k's in really good shape.
Yeah, I'm not saying he looks really comfortable in the setting he's in at the moment. And, you're talking about Bukster as well, especially for himself. We haven't seen him in this kind of environment in a very, very long time, have we? Considering, what he's been going through so far. But for Bukster, it's just those final 2 maps I'm a little bit skeptical of, a little bit worried here. With the Vale matchup as well with the Ison and Galena, that's, very meta. That's very, very standard, isn't it, considering what we've seen so far. But the Slash versus Visor going to Molten Falls, that'll be interesting in itself. But we'll be going to the first map very shortly to see exactly how these two are going to pan out and to get a flavour, a bit of spice to see exactly what these two are going to comprehend. But of course, with Av3k, he's been so strong, on a lot of maps across the board, and we'll have to see how exactly we're going to get on in this 3rd series of the day.
Indeed, we're on Av3k at this point over on the Blaskovic. Starting nice and strong, using the dual wield. The dual wield is still there to be used, should I say. Strong though, looking healthy as well, having picked up the heavy. Mega's the next contest. Av3k doubles back though. Slight mistiming, could have got onto it, Bukster, but just a second late.
Yeah, just trying to see now exactly. Heavy's come up in the next couple of seconds. Items are already quite segregated as it is. And Av3k now just back away, just keeping his distance with that heavy machine gun, and he'd love to see it as well. Definitely a very strong weapon to use, especially in terms of distance. And Bukster now just biding his time once again, just be flanking around to get that tri-bolt. And again, just hovering around the area, got the high ground, using that peak, and now he gets a little bit of damage. It actually gets up to 61, so this is going to be a good start for Bukster, maybe able to capitalize, because in terms of HP, Av3k is very, very low, decides to back away, get the Mega, perfectly understandable, and Bukster needs to do the same thing himself. Kind of a gentleman's agreement there, picks up the heavy, and now both very similar in terms of stack.
Indeed, camping out here. Bit back around now towards the light, playing nice and slow, hasn't got the LG. This is why he's playing such a slow game. He's trying to wait for Av3k to make the push.
Yeah, it looks like at the moment Bukster now still again biding his time. Not as aggressive as we expected with this job, but it looks like we'll be finding his ground straight away. Bukster does take a lot of damage from the LG, backs away again. Won't find the light to his name sadly, but at least now he's got a little bit of ground to cover. The light's also been picked up as well as the heavy here, so Av3k's looking very healthy at the moment.
He's indeed, but Bukster's doing a good enough keep away game. But you can see he's going to get to that point unless, we talked about this in the previous series, unless he gets to the point where he just hits a couple of miracle shots, he's in for a lot of trouble. But can Av3k close the gap? That's the question. Bukster here on the Strog doing a really good job of just skirting the outskirts, defending these choke points. But Av3k isn't making the mistake of overcommitting. Bukster will be picking up this heavy, and there you go, he's back on this map. Really well played by Bukster.
It certainly is. He needs to make sure to keep an eye on his hourglasses as well, one of the main factors here to keep himself in check. It's Bukster now just hovering over in that red room. Av3k has backed away just to pick up that light, get the hourglasses again, got the dual wield ready to use if he wants to try and contest.
He could have picked up that Mega, so that might come back to haunt him.
Yeah, have to see how that goes already. Av3k now directly next to Bukster here. Bukster still just, again, being very patient, but great machine gun damage there from Av3k. Doing so much work here, and Bukster's trying to respond to retaliate in some way, but even with the peak, his keeps the peak alive, does a fair amount of damage there, but it's just not going to be enough. He took way too much from that heavy machine gun. Could keep him on spawn if he can, and the Mega's coming in the next 2 seconds. So if Av3k wins this fight, he's going to be looking in prime position here, and this is much better.
And this is where the tides turn on its head. Av3k steals away both major items, even delaying the heavy as well, trying to steal away this light. Bukster might realize that. He does. So that greed actually comes back to haunt Av3k. Yeah, you can see the shake of the head there. Realizing did make the mistake. Felt he could have got full map control. So we'll see where that goes. Bukster now pinning him away with the heavy machine gun. Both we're going to whittle each other down. But this is just still so tense.
It really is. And even though I like the play from Av3k, you're right though, got a little bit greedy. He was trying to get to put the light straight after the red room just to make Bukster think that he actually took it as it went forward. But in the end, the pick comes out, doesn't really get anything with it here. And surely for Av3k, it's going to be a nice little good direct as well. Finishes him off and adds another to the tally.
What I love about that play is, although Av3k made the mistake, he realized what had happened is that he'd finally split the items. And so what he did is he stole away the map, played super careful, and punished Bukster for the pickup. And now look at where he's at. This is where the snowball begins. 5 minutes to go. Bukster is on the ropes. Three frags the difference. Av3k with the dual wield just to defend the item pickup, and now he can just continue to rotate, and just the constant damage coming out from Av3k beginning to pay dividends.
Yeah, sprinkle of damage here and there, but it's definitely adding up. Surely Bukster manages to get away, of course. Has that mobility advantage with the strong, but out on forward though as Av3k cuts him down straight away. Bukster trying to stay alive, and will he be able to? No, he doesn't finish him off. Gets a couple of health bubbles there just to keep him alive a little bit longer. But of course, doesn't change the fact that you could get the item, but this is some great rockets here from Bukster. I don't think Av3k expected that at all.
No, not at all, and that caught him off guard, and that's exactly why it worked. Av3k had no idea where his opponent was until it was too late. Bukster's going to be the one pushing in. Pika comes out. Does it do enough? They're both so low. Bukster does obviously go down at that point, but
just not finishing off his fights, is it, at the moment? Dan is now. Av3k just keeping the high ground here. Mega's not up for another couple of seconds as of yet, but it looks like he's going to try and do as much as he can with the LG before dropping down. Great stuff from Av3k, just get as much value out of that Mega as possible before dropping down after it. And now just looking to see if he can cut the path now from Bukster, which he does manage to do, but he's taking a lot of damage from those rockets. And will he be able to clean them up? Yes, he does. Yeah, brilliant stuff there.
Just a little bit too early for Bukster. Again, all of these plays are the right plays from Bukster, and I really like what I'm seeing. It's just Av3k is playing unbelievable at this point and is just making equally good decisions. Again, all it was a second too early from Bukster there, and it cost him another frag. We're also approaching that territory lethal now with just over 3 minutes to go. We have to question, how do you make a comeback happen at this point?
Yeah, this is going to be the next question here, but the way Av3k's playing right now is getting warmed up. He's feeling the groove now. He's got the positioning onto Bukster. Still got the heavy machine gun if he wishes to keep his distance, which he has done. And he's just so weak. Surely this is going to be another. Yeah, it is. Of course it's going to be. That's going to be the Mega now coming next couple of seconds, looking to contest it just before. And yeah, you can see Bukster just doesn't want to take the risk. Perfectly understandable. Hasn't got the weapons in order to utilize it and try and make work of it straight afterwards. And now for himself, Av3k still eating up the lights at the same time. Heavy's up in the next few seconds. Also, looks like Av3k's going to choose to go down bottom here. Great rocket damage already. Gets behind him. Will be able to pick up the heavy. Just making matters worse here.
Absolutely. And the pressure is relentless from Av3k. He's not let up at all. I mean, Bukster's been living off scraps all map. There was a time where he had the items on exactly the same split, which is what you need on a defense. It allows you to always fall back on one, but as we talked about, what turned out to be a mistake from Av3k was actually just pure delaying at that point, and he played off of that mistake so damn well, and it's just relentless as well. He's pretty much the best player in the world, continually chipping away at you, just doing damage from no end. I mean, I don't think I've seen him stop strafing all game, just constant aggression.
Certainly has been. Look at his aim as well. Like, he hasn't got the advantage of that angle, even though they both have the same weaponry. And again, just Av3k just coming out on top. Oh, look at the LG. The tracking just so good. 9-0 now. I've kind of found that the scoreline doesn't reflect fully. Like, you kind of easily saw earlier that Bukster could have had a couple to his name, but just hasn't been able to finish off a lot of these. But it looks like he will finally find his first one, but just way too late. Only a minute and a half left.
And he's still got the dual wield as well, so if he needs it, he can just pop that out and just disintegrate his opponent. It comes out here, and Bukster actually gets bounced into view. It's just, please miss me. And as you rightly point, it's just too late at this point. But again, it's just one of these games where we're at 10-1 lethal, which doesn't feel like that. But then you just have to credit how Av3k just ground out this victory. Really impressive.
You know, Shuma's a lot closer. I'd love to see the damage dealt afterwards to see exactly how matters have occurred. If the scores were a little bit closer down the line, and of course with the stroke, it definitely would have helped him out massively. But at this point, yeah, trying to find 8 in 1 minute, just not going to happen at all. Av3k just going to play it safe, seal the deal, just keep his distance, use that tri-bolt, and he's still getting a fair amount of damage out of that at the moment. Actually going for the children of that tri-bolt, and that is just another way just to frustrate Bukster even more. But at this point, it just don't matter. It's just, you kind of feel like Av3k has pretty much got his number.
Yeah, this is obviously done and dusted and sets us up nicely for the next map of the series. I think Bukster should feel pretty happy with how this went down. I mean, this is a map I would generally throw Av3k's way. Fits his style. Again, the picks, as we mentioned, I do like the strong. Av3k is a bit of a Blaskovich specialist. I mean, the amount of times that passive tick, health tick, really bounced up in this type of match as well. Just the use of the dual wield was pretty sparing, but generally effective. It was more about the tempo Av3k set, the way in which he played the items, and just the constant pressure that came out from his side. Really good set.
Yeah, and you can see as well on a lot of occasions, actually, before I go into it, you can see from the damage there, just below 1,000 damage more in favour of Av3k, and I think a lot of that's definitely towards the last few minutes. And even though Bukster was trying to use the mobility of the Strog to try and get to items a little bit later than usual, to try and get it the last few seconds, or just trying to find another route, Av3k was kind of his routes every single day of the week. He was literally making sure that he read his opponent very well. I think some of the routes Bukster took towards that second half of the map was a little bit predictable, which is why Av3k was able to read him like a book, like literally no problem at all. And that's where things started to crumble even further.
Yeah, and if you just think about even to the first few minutes, when Bukster, was just living off scrap, you know, playing around corners, had to hit some amazing defensive shots to get back into the game, managed to stabilize, get those items on parity, and then found a good way back into the game. It only went to the point where Av3k managed to split the items, then the pressure came out. That's when the snowball began to happen, and Bukster could not find a way at that point to really stabilize once again. And not many players can. Let's be honest, not many players can in this situation. So you have to give credit to Av3k, but Bukster's still showing a really good form.
Yeah, he certainly is. It was more maps 2 and 3 we were a bit worried about, and if somehow Bukster could come out the gate strong in that first map, then it could tell the tale in a little bit of a different story. But I think he did, even though he didn't get any frags to his name at the very beginning, I still think he played it very well and played it quite strategically.
100%.
But it's just the frags just weren't coming in, were they? He's had some good risks with some of the item contention. There was other times where he was keeping his distance perfectly, he had a good aim across the board, everything. Bits and pieces fell apart here and there, and you can see Av3k was just picking up the pieces already here. But we'll be going to Vale very shortly. A very traditional, a very, meta matchup, you could say, especially with the Eisen and the Galena. And this is the good thing as well. Like with the Galena, even though a lot of people will use that turret for top mid to try and contest a Mega, or maybe somewhere a little bit more unorthodox, the thing is that it forces the Eisen to have to drop down to keep those totems in check. And, this is where it's going to be potentially very back and forth.
Absolutely, and Eisen is a bit more of an unorthodox pick, and I don't say that in that it's never picked. It's just a bit more of a personal flavour, Some people just don't enjoy it, but Av3k is somebody that would just take it if it's on the table, pretty much no matter what the map, and that's because it doesn't really have a map that favours it. Saying that, we all know this is one of the maps that really does work. As you said, putting that turret up the top, it's just a constant risk. You can then use it to enter rooms. You throw the turret in, it just absorbs damage. There's so much it brings to the table, but you have to be an Eisen specialist, and that's what Av3k is.
And if someone was using a scale against the Eisen, because you've got the turret to block any kind of path which occurs, and I think he was just making sure it checks all angles. Like Eisen was definitely a very, very safe pick, and I think against a Galena, or if it was a scale, then it would have made a massive difference here. But already a lot of damage done towards Av3k. Buck's looking very good. Nice. This is a great start for Bukster. This is exactly what he was needing, and it gets the first rail on spawn straight away. He's going to clean him up the LG. Not fully as of yet, just out of range, but he's going to be playing it a little bit patiently. Things about the rail, beautifully done there from the light.
And this is what we see now. Oh, there's the turret once again, just doing a little bit of tick damage. We have a rail in play. That's a good stabilizer. We saw last match, Bukster was struggling to keep up with the close range damage output, the aggression from Av3k. Now you have a rail, you can thwart that. Oh, Av3k has no idea where his opponent is. Drops on down, he's still alive though. But Bukster won't mind too much that his opponent got away with version Pnath, because it gives him a little bit of time to take the other resources off the map.
Just checking at the moment.
Yeah, get himself some more rockets as well. But he's in a good position here, Bukster.
Yeah, I think so too. Just trying to cover his ankles, just go for any potential flanks which Av3k could bring to the table. It's pulled away, does find him now. The turret's going to be a little bit of a nuisance here, but not a huge amount of trouble. But the main thing for Av3k is he knows his exact whereabouts, his exact position here on the map.
But saying
so
that,
just trying to hold Mega.
That one in the heavy, and that's what we talked about. He read where Bukster was going to come from, threw the turret down, and said, "You got to kill the turret before you even get me," which gave him time to get out of the heavy and get out. Just such an annoying little factor. He also steals away the Mega now. He's doing no damage, but it doesn't matter. He's taking away all the resources. So if he gets out of here pretty cleanly, which he just won't, he's in a good spot. Nevertheless, he has to start that rotation again.
Yeah, he certainly does. Heavy still up as well. Definitely working in his favour, just segregating it even further. It's actually perfect here for Bukster. As long as he flips these items back and forth, he shouldn't really have too much of an issue here. Making sure to replenish and get all that ammo back. Has to back away once again. And it's a bit of a nuisance. Oh, that was a beautiful rocket. Now, Bukster extending his lead. Misses the initial rail, which is a little bit of a shame here, but gets the Mega, gets the light, looking very healthy again.
As much as Av3k died, it just showed and illustrated the exact functionality of the turret, right? Threw it down in the entrance, jumped around it. The turret absorbed a full rocket, allowed Av3k to get in and do some serious damage. And what Av3k's doing at this point is stealing resources. He's taking damage for it, but he's stealing resources. So if he can now get some weapons, if he hits the next rail, he's actually technically in stat control. There is only 5 seconds before the Mega though, so Bukster is in the perfect position just to contest it. That's why he's forcing Av3k away, just to make sure he gets a completely clean pickup. As I say that, Av3k's somehow already on the top ground, little magician. And now Bukster's going to work his way around to this this heavy, and will be picking this one up. Av3k's going to try and hit a rail from down below. Bukster's more than ready for it. Does actually eat one and a second. He's in trouble now.
Sure is. I thought he was going to hit that third den, but literally jiggle peeking to see if he can get Av3k. Oh, he's almost finished him as well. That last rocket's not going to hit, and both players are so weak. But with the totem, that's definitely going to help. That missed rail may cost him. He's going to go straight for the Mega, but he doesn't get it. It's Av3k. Managed to stop him in his tracks. Probably get some control, but after all that, oh, Dan, you couldn't make it up, could you?
My God, what a state of affairs, Lethal.
Honestly,
pushing back in here. He's got the rocket. He knows that Av3k hasn't got a lot to work with, but he's eating too much damage now. The heavy's up. They're both contesting. Timing on point once again. Bukster forced away. Av3k's coming barreling on through. Eats 2 big rockets though. 13 seconds before this mega. Bukster's only got a rail, but that might be enough.
Certainly could be. Now as Av3k heavily on the back foot, just trying to recover. That's going to help him out a little bit, just to feed him information to know which path he wants to take in order to continue that recovery process. 3 frag deficit. Bucks are looking 10 times better compared to what we saw in that first map. Picks up the heavy. Huge amount of stack. And that's just a matter of how he can get a lot of value out of it and how he's going to make this work. It looks like he's going to be staying on the bottom floor just to try and fire a few rockets here and there, just to tickle Av3k a tad. But you can see Bucks is just desperate to go on that aggression, but at the same time he's got to think about the value of the stack he has.
Exactly. You're at that point in the game where you just want to control it. You don't need really to build a lead, not desperately. Just maintain, take away resources, play strategical. Really nice, stealing away that heavy as well. Av3k's going to go down here. The question is how much damage Bukster going to take, and it's going to be a lot. Somehow Av3k is even still alive. That is frustrating. Bukster toying with his prey somewhat. Couldn't clean up the frag. And Av3k's just going to set up early and say, you know, you got to make a move here, otherwise I'm going to take it away from you.
That should have been a frag earlier on, and now it's on the other side of the... Oh, that's just unbelievable. That definitely shouldn't have been Bukster's frag. He should have had a lot of stack with it straight afterwards, just couldn't clean it up.
Yeah.
But now Av3k was just playing out of his mind, and just manages to finish that off. But it's still got 73 HP actually, mind you. Looking for the spawn, hits it in the end, and now Bukster is now feeling the momentum shift coming in favour of Av3k.
Yeah, but he did hit a clean rail just as Av3k was dropping down there. That stabilizes. It gives him a little bit of time to find position to try and contest this, but coming down the low ground, he just can't get through this choke point. Av3k shuts him down. And now, pretty much the first time all series, Av3k might have a lockdown on the items.
Certainly does a complete role reversal, and we're going to go find out what Av3k can do now and see if he can take advantage of that, which he has done. Already tied things up. This can very easily happen on Vale, especially in this kind of matchup. Picked up the heavy in terms of stack. Avik with a slight lead. Does take that the totem, just add a little bit more for later on. Oh, beautiful rail, just to finish that off. Great stuff from Avik.
Yeah, and this is feeling a bit reminiscent of map 1 now, Lethal. You can see Avik with both items. He's got a strong split on the two of them, and he's just striding into Bukster, just bullying him at this point. Bukster needs to do what he did in the opening engagements, try and get back on that rail. Try and pick his opponent apart, because otherwise, Avik's going to be in your face.
Stopwatch.
For Bukster though, he does have 2 totems out. So we'll have the overstack eventually, even if he doesn't get the mega, but of course he just wants to try and contest it anyway. Good rocket again, and he's going to try and do a little bit more, but is that too much? Yeah, it's just a bit too much, as Avik does win that engagement.
Yeah, just Avik things again. And the item rotation's too strong. Bukster, this is the problem, we found it in map 1. As soon as Avik gets his lockdown, Bukster can't find a way to break it. He's taken the last 3, if not 4, full rotations of items, and every single time after he's got both of them, here comes Avik. He knows he's got another 15-20 seconds to make it count. This time a frag doesn't come of it, but he's already in position to pick up another clean mega. Turrets on the high ground, that's protected, and the options for at this point are really limited for Bukster.
And because that little bit of damage Avik took, he can just eat the light anyway, so probably did Avik a little bit of favour there. Still got those 2 totems up, and probably a third now. Yeah, so it does have 3 totems up, so we'll give Bukster a little bit of leeway here. Does know he's directly above him, it's just a matter of how he wants to try and go about this. Does have to stack, but again, all about that value is now Bukster has dropped down in the meantime. As will Avik be able to find him? Yes, he does. This is not a fight which Bukster wants to take. Gets out in the end, but again, just more damage just adding here. Of course, Avik's going to go in straight for the kill. Perfectly understandable. Will he be able to? I don't think it's going to last too long, but then again, oh, it does take it in the end, so Bukster does get cleaned up. Avik gets to heavy. This is pretty much a nightmare here for Bukster. Got to find 3 frags, and already Avik's got a decent stack.
What Avik does such a good job of is just putting on pressure in between items. He goes out, he chases you down. Even if he doesn't kill you, he does more than enough damage to force you into a vulnerable position. Then he cleans up both items, and when he's on a full stack, he'll just absolutely swallow you up. And again, it's just the damage in between these pickups from Bukster is just not there. He can't find a way to do damage to Av3k, and before you know it, Av3k's in your face. He's trying to get across, trying to steal it. He knows the timing, but it's all futile as I say that. And that frag comes out of nowhere, and it does give him a little bit of a lifeline with a minute to go.
1 minute warning.
Certainly does. Minute left, 3 frags. Definitely possible, but it's all about trying to find out Av3k's location. He's got a few reads. He's trying to cut the path, but the problem is he's going to keep taking damage, and these defensive rockets are just looking way too good for Av3k here, and that was, yeah, I'm not going to lie, so close. 40 seconds left, still got a little bit of time, but the problem is he hasn't got enough left. He needs to try and track Av3k down now, but Av3k just making sure he's covered all areas. We'll put down the turret straight afterwards, and do you know what? Even if he doesn't get cleaned up, Bukster's going to be way too weak. What a direct before he gets to heavy. 25 seconds left here, Dan.
Nail biter, Av3k spawns in the perfect situation, but he's going to actually meet Bukster face to face. Although the stack of Av3k is stronger, Bukster needs to hit 2 rockets. He does, but that does not favour him. That's not what he wants, and now he just doesn't have the time. He put up the fight, but he doesn't have the time.
He certainly doesn't, but do you know what? I thought after he got that direct before he hit the heavy, that definitely could have been potentially something special. And the problem is, though, the LG from Av3k just way too strong, but a much better performance from, I wouldn't even say a much better performance. I think just in that series all round, even though the scoreline doesn't reflect it in the first map, it was still very good, and just interested to see how he does in the loser bracket.
I think he looks so strong. I mean, he pushed Av3k to the wire in that map. You know, he got off to a really good start. Avik to find ways. You could see him changing strategies throughout. But even map 1, you know, the first 3, 4, even 5 minutes, they were strong minutes from someone that has a cultured play style. And like we said, this is a player that's just been on the cusp of breaking into this level for such a long time. And from what we saw today, he went up against someone that Avik was leading the EU charts on much of the last stage of QPL. You know, he went up against someone that's one of the best in the world and went toe to toe.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since a lot of these players have played against Bukster, so he's got that element of not unpredictability, but just in terms of VOD research or anything like that, don't really know too much about his best maps and how he plays and how maybe he's changed things up leading up to this moment. So definitely could have been very different in terms of what we saw. But yeah, it's like we said in that first map, definitely didn't reflect, but we were very impressed with how Bukster performed compared to what we maybe assumed.
Definitely. I think map 2 was, again, just a bit of a snowball. And like we said, there's very few players in the world that when Avik gets into that type of rhythm can break it. I felt that Bukster's rail was letting him down at time in the mid-game. He also didn't find a way to get the overstack up. He was forced to use his totems to just recoup. So again, the strategy wasn't there. But that was just Avik. He just forced it. You have to be on the back foot the whole time. So Avik looks really good going forward. We said he looked strong coming into this. I felt that vindicated him. I think Bukster's having a great run in the lower bracket. And we're going to look at base versus Hell next. But how about we go through it over to catch up? Who can just talk us through that one?
Up next, I think we're going to answer the question of, is Hell going to be joining us on the commentary desk or not? As afterwards, this extended break that we're about to go on, it's going to be Base versus Hell going one-on-one. Thank you so much for joining us so far for IronFist, and after this break, we'll be back with more winners bracket matches.